Hey everyone, welcome back to part 3 of my video series with Scott Rinckenberger. If you missed the first 2, go ahead and check them out before you watch this one. In this video, Scott and I sit down and we chat about all things Snoqualmie Valley, beautiful Pacific Northwest, and what it's like raising a family here. You've been all over the world. What's special to you about the Snoqualmie Valley?
Oh man, it's hard to explain how a place can just literally feel like home to your body, like on a cellular level, but it's like that. It's like, I think if you ask a lifetime desert dweller, they'll tell you the same thing. They'll tell you that, like, they just feel at home in that environment, in that landscape, like whatever it is, however their internal, organs operate and however their neurons fire or whatever, those things happen in, a state of homeostasis in like their home world. There are big mountains and big trees and big rivers and, water just overwhelming everything at all times, and it's a moist place, and it's a colorful place, and it's a wild place, and every time I travel the world and then fly back into here, like my blood pressure goes down. And it's not only like because I'm here where I live, it's also because I'm here where like my body lives in a way. It's hard to explain, but it's home.
What is working in North Bend like for you, being so close to wilderness?
Yeah, it's great. It's fantastic. It allows for a lot of sort of mixing of business and pleasure, in that a lot of the stuff I photograph is really close at hand here, and a lot of the sports I do are fantastic right in the valley. It's from right here. We can go to the Raging River Trail System, 5 minutes that way, and ride world-class mountain bike trails. We can go to Little Cy, 5 minutes that way, and climb 514. I can't climb 514, but one could. And then you can go up to Snoqualmie Pass, or even, a lot of the time of the year, even the mountains quite a bit closer to town are totally skiable and covered in snow. And then there's really big, bold, gnarly skiing in the wilderness up there, and that's 15 minutes from here. And so, not only are my sort of, where I have a whole day or whatever set aside to go and play, not only is it close at hand for that, it's also close at hand if I have an hour or two to work with. I can still get out and tap into it a bit. And then I've also gotten, I would say my interest in the natural environment and how I photograph it has started more and more to incorporate, the valley itself, and not everything has to be so rugged and so alpine, and I'm, the sort of forest element has and the rivers and all that have become a really inspiring component of my art as well. And so all that's like literally right outside the door.
There's a lot of dads and parents out there trying to follow passions and all that stuff.
Yeah.
What are you saying to those parents first, and then what are you saying to your kids about following their passion?
Yeah. I think there was certainly a time before there were young kids in the house where I would say, okay, time to reinvent, and like I'm gonna,
be gone for a couple weeks, see ya.
Yeah, I'm gonna do something that, that's gonna take me in a different direction, and that it's a time and place for me to pursue my own ends, and I don't want to say that I'm totally like writing off my own pursuits by any stretch. Like a lot of the things that you've referenced have happened while I've had kids. Yeah. But I'm relying on the tools that I've already built, previous to having kids. And I look forward to, when the kids are fully fledged and I'm able to sort of do some more heavy lifting on my own reinvention. That'll be fun. But for the time being, I feel a lot happier and more satisfied putting that time and energy into their experience and being really present and available for my family.
Now that you're a dad,
Mm-hmm.
and you're seeing them grow up in that environment of that beautiful place, what's that like for you?
It just feels very right. Having sort of grown up in the woods, I lived in kind of the Woodinville Duval area before it sort of sprawled in the way that it has lately. And so we had an acre of woods, but once you left our property, it just went on for as far as a kid could possibly explore toward Duval, and we never sort of found the end to the forest.
Yeah.
And so the sort of default, like if you weren't in school or you weren't sort of, at soccer or whatever, it was just, you're out in the forest. And so kind of having my kids grow up with that same experience just feels totally natural and right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How does that work for you, watching them be bold?
At this point, when the stakes are really low, and the worst thing that can happen is they'll fall over on their skis or crash their bike onto dirt or gravel or whatever. I'm totally comfortable with it. Their mom's totally comfortable. They're totally comfortable with it. And what will become sort of a more compelling struggle as a parent is when the stakes start to become pretty genuine, and skiing at some point, and I guess all adventure sports, there becomes a level where you have to start exposing yourself to really legitimate risks, avalanches or really big crashes that can cause great injury and blah, blah, blah. And so I feel like my mission is sort of just to expose them in a way that they get to that they can follow those activities to whatever level of intensity they'd like, and for as long as they'd like, in whatever format they'd like, and try and give guidance and mentorship and try and impart as much wisdom as sort of skill. Because I think that probably the greatest tool, they can get coached in how to do the mechanics of a sport or whatever. But the more important thing for them to, build and take with them throughout their lives is sort of good decision making and the wisdom to do bold things in a calculated fashion, in a sustainable fashion.
You talked about the kids picking up the skis.
Yeah.
Have they picked up the camera yet?
Yeah, they have these little like pink and red cameras that we got, both of them, when they were like 2. And they'll run around shooting, and sometimes, it's pretty fun to see what they get. Yeah. And sometimes, we'll be going out for a hike, and I'll grab my camera, and the kids will say, I want my camera, and they'll get their cameras, and then we'll kind of walk around and like do a photo hike kind of thing, and it's really cool.
What are you passing on to them
Yeah.
if you had to distill that message to
Totally. Yeah, I guess I'm fortunate to be a classical story of having chased, the things I'm most passionate about, and having at times made hard decisions and done things like, go skiing instead of going to college, and go skiing instead of like keeping my grandpa happy about my grades, and like, basically making some hard, bold choices in the pursuit of the things that really deeply mattered to me. When you're young and you start doing this stuff, like, I'm going to take winter quarter off of college so that I can go skiing. To the outside world, it looks like you're just kind of blowing it. And even to yourself, you're kind of like, am I just blowing it? Am I just like going ski bumming and like dropping out and being a dirtbag? Like, maybe. You don't know. And so it's only like retrospectively that you can say, okay, tough decision, but it was the right one, and it put me on this path, and this path wouldn't exist if I hadn't made those decisions, and those decisions were passion driven, and were driven by like having faith in my own vision for my universe, And so I would say I would say that, you know, to people that are younger and sort of figuring out their place and their way of being, it's a matter of, I want people to really appreciate and have context for sort of the systems and the ways of life that are widely available, and not be sort of wild or rebellious just for the sake of it. But if there's something that is calling to a person, and you know, if there's like a path that's shinier than all the other paths, take that path. And take that path and say, I'm sorry and thank you for caring to all the people who you're gonna have to, you know, try and explain yourself to. But every other path is wrought with more sorrow than the one that's like you hold in your heart. And also, I think don't look for the 20, 30, 40 year answer.
Right.
Look for the right now answer.
Yeah.
Like, listen to that part of you that's like, that's what means the most to me right now. I need to pursue that. Because like, I didn't plan on photography, you know. Photography found me through skiing finding me, and so, yeah, don't put on your decades-long lens. Like, put on your real-time lens and try and make your decisions that way. Or at least that's how I try and roll.
I hope you enjoyed this in-depth conversation with local legend, world-renowned photographer and adventurer, Scott Rinckenberger. You know, so many great people call the Snoqualmie Valley home, and I love sharing their stories with you to give you a peek into Valley life. It's a special, special place. Thanks for watching. I'm Brian Davis. I hope to see you in the Valley.